Hello, welcome to Lord Havoc's Marvel Champions custom content creator spotlight. That's right, we're not doing an extravaganza for this one. It is another episode of my creator spotlight series. I love these series, and the person that I'm speaking to today, we've got a bit of a story about how it come about this. But first, I'll do the introductions. I am, of course, talking about Jakxin. How are you doing, sir?
Oi, governor. Wait, that's British. I'm doing all right, but actually not too bad. This is what 3.5 months in the making. Finally doing
it. before you do that, can you do an Australian accent? I know you just did a British one by accident, but can you do an Australian?
That's not a knife. This is a knife. Oi, check out that RWBY right there. I don't know.
That's pretty bad.
I'm way too American.
Good. That's
because if I did it well, I'd be a little bit concerned.
That would be a bit weird, yeah. It's a bit of a journey. This one is we've interacted a couple of times now, and I've always enjoyed like our games and stuff. So of course invited you to do the spotlight, right? And this is like 3 months ago or something, right? I was in March, and you're like, yeah, I'd be down for it, and we're like, all right, well, let's try and sort it out, and the usual conversation about time zones and all that sort of crap. And then just nothing happened. Like the last message is me saying, yeah, we'll sort it out. And then we didn't bother sorting it out. And I don't know what happened there. And then last night you were watching my stream. And you were like talking about your latest creation and stuff, which is really good. I thank you so much for supporting the stream and jumping on. I really appreciate that. But yeah, you're talking about your latest creation stuff, which I'm very excited about. We'll talk about that in a second. And I did like my outro thing, and I was like, hey, if you want to, listen to some spotlights from the creators and stuff, people like Jakxin and stuff, and you're like, right at the very end of the stream, like very ominously at the end of the stream, it says, I never had a spotlight recording at the end of the chat, and I'm like, what? So I went and searched through YouTube, and I'm like, look, I looked at all the past episodes, and we definitely did not have one. Like, what happened? Did we record it and I deleted it? I mean, technical issues, who knows? But so I reached out, and thankfully enough, you didn't hate me, and you were happy to do it still. So I don't know, man. What happened? It's weird.
Oh, it's time. I don't know. It's just one of those things where we're talking about the time zones and everything like that, and then I was like, oh, okay. Well, I told him before that my schedule is pretty open because I don't work. I was like, so I figured you'd get back to me because you had that information, and then it's like, nope, radio silence. All right, I guess I'm just not doing it for now.
What makes it even worse is I was thinking about posting a message in the Discord because I've run out of like creators who want to do it. Like I've reached out to a bunch of people, and some people have declined, always politely. They've always been polite. Declined or have just don't really have the time, or not interested, whatever the case may be, right? And so now I've run out of people who want to do it that I've reached out to. So I was going to put a post saying, hey, anybody who's interested, hit me up. If for some reason I missed you, by all means hit me up. Now I'm glad I didn't do that. What was that, sorry?
You could always do something like update ones, like someone that you interviewed before, see how they're doing several months later, whatever.
Yeah, maybe I did a part 2 for Beretta. So yeah, I guess that could make sense.
Yeah, I think I saw that. I'm not sure I watched it, but I know I saw it get posted.
Yeah, it was good.
That he was starting to do a few part 2s.
He's a good dude. And then there's also the one that everybody keeps telling me to do, which is me. Somebody wants me to do one. But anyway, so I'm glad I didn't do that, because then I would have been publicly shamed when you messaged and said, well, by the way, we were supposed to do one and you ditched me. So now I'm paranoid. Now I'm going to go check through all the DMs and see if there's any more that I just accidentally just ditched and apologize profusely. So anyway, you're here now. Enough about that. You're here now. Let's look at your awesome stuff. We've got your mod up as per normal. With all your stuff. But before we get into your content, could you tell the listeners a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. Hey there, I'm Jakxin. Part of the problems that we were having before with the scheduling is I'm American East Coast. You're of course Australian. So there's a nice little 11-hour, 10-hour difference between us.
Yeah.
But I am a ex-military person. I did my service. I'm currently on disability, so I mentioned before I wasn't working. I'm just on disability, so that's why I get all this free time to make way too many cards. Um,
I wouldn't say too many. There's awesome content. It's great.
uh, um, let's see. Anything else? I mean, that's the big gist of it. I've been in the Marvel Champions custom community now for about 3 or so years, I think.
Mhm.
I know I joined the server proper after I made all my Ruby content. And then
Nice.
before I started making anything else, that's kind of where I joined in.
Are
Yeah,
you,
that's
is it
the
if it's
gist
okay
of it.
if I asked which branch of the military you in?
I was in the United States Army.
Ah, cool, awesome.
Yep.
The people getting
Yep,
it done.
I did close to 5 years active duty. It was like something like 4 years, 10 months, something like that.
Wow.
And then I did some traveling afterwards, and now I'm here on the East Coast of the United States, as vague as I can. I'll make that.
Don't go. Don't go any. Don't give me your street
Yeah,
address. That's fine. East
yeah.
Coast, the United States. I'm good with that.
What is it?
Awesome.
112 Wallaby Lane or whatever it is from oh God, who was that? That was Rocco's Modern Life.
Wallaby
I
Lane.
think it was
What?
Wallaby Lane. That's what it was.
Uh,
I think he lived on like something 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 Wallaby Lane.
there probably is a real Wallaby Lane somewhere here. I wouldn't be shocked, but I don't live at Wallaby Lane. No, actually, it's pretty sweet. I like it.
I live in a state named after a British monarch, so it's just what it is.
Oh, that's weird. In America, really?
Yeah, a lot of the original colonies, and that's where I'm at, is the
Oh, I
original
see.
colonies.
Right,
But
original
but a lot of the
colonies.
original colonies, their cities and the states are named after, either the people who founded them.
Yeah.
Obviously not the Native Americans,
No,
the people who came over
the
from
white people.
Europe.
Yeah.
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 So it's usually either named after the people who found them or their kings and queens.
Well, yeah. I would have thought.
Essentially.
I would have thought after the whatever it is, the revolution, when the tea party and all that sort of stuff. And I'm showing my ignorance of American history, but you would have like renamed everything. Like it's no, I don't want. We're not having King George Street. No, now it's
Yeah,
Washington Street.
it would have been too hard for postage or something. I don't know. I don't
Okay.
know the reasons we didn't change it.
So in these spotlights, you don't just learn about Marvel Champion stuff; you learn about history and geography. And so there you go.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to your Marvel Champion stuff. So you did. You said you started doing your RWBY stuff. RWBY stuff.
Yeah, it's actually I think that is currently down here in the legacy stuff.
Yeah, I was just looking. I was like, I'm looking at the table. I don't see
Oh,
anything.
it disappeared. Oh, it disappeared through my table.
Disappear.
I pressed the button. I didn't realize it would do that.
I think it's because the shelf that it was sitting on is moved. Here we go. Yeah, RWBY.
Oh, on my screen, yep.
Yeah.
On my screen, the shelf is still there. That's why.
Okay.
But yeah, that's what I started with originally. I had a friend who, well, me and my friend started playing this game around COVID.
Mhm.
And we had a friend that just was for whatever reason he just didn't want to get into it.
Mhm.
And I was like, all right, well, what do you think would entice you to the game? Because everybody else is having a lot of fun with it. He just didn't want to play it.
Cool.
And we didn't want to exclude him. So I was like, what do you think would make the game more appealing to you? And he's like, well, I'm not a big Marvel person.
Right.
I was like, all right, so let me think of things that he likes. Well, he was a fan of the show RWBY. He's a fan of Warhammer 40K. Well, I don't know a darn thing about 40K.
Yeah.
So, but I do know RWBY. So I was like, all right, let me try making some RWBY content and seeing if I can, get him interested. And it never took, but I finished making RWBY essentially, and then after that, that's when I started branching out into more different subject matters.
So when you say you started making some RWBY content,
Yeah, I made.
it's this insane amount of content. It's just some. It's basically every single character.
Let me see here. I think I actually might have an exact count of how much RWBY I made.
It's amazing. I'm pulling them out of the box, and I've never even heard of RWBY. In fact, because I mean, is it pronounced Ruby? It's got a W in it. RWBY.
Yeah, it's pronounced. Well, it's yeah. That's the fun thing about it. It is pronounced Ruby.
Yeah, and this is just the heroes box. This is just the heroes that I've pulled out here. This is you've still got the villain box over here.
Well, it's heroes and aspects because this right here is an aspect, and
Supplement pack. Yeah, okay, gotcha.
back when I called them supplemental packs, now I just call them aspect. But yeah, I'm looking at my files. I have 1,263 files in there.
Well, there you go.
So it's 1,263, about 1,263 RWBY cards.
Absolutely amazing. Are these the same person? Is this Winter?
It's her sister.
Oh, okay.
Winter and Weiss.
Winter. All right. So, for the ignorant who may not know anything about RWBY, I of course know everything there is to know about RWBY. But for anybody who doesn't know, for our listeners, can you please explain what the hell this is? Because I have no idea.
So, RWBY was created, I want to say, in 2013, by a person named Montium, who was a action machinimator, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And he had a lot of video game and anime influences in his machinima. And then he started working at a company called Rooster Teeth.
Oh, yeah.
And
Red versus Blue.
Yep. And he was doing the machinimating for Red vs. Blue for a while, and then he got his own show on there called RWBY. And all the characters are based off of either things like fairy tales, where they're based off of some form of art, essentially.
Okay.
So like the team of RWBY, all the characters are based off of fairy tales because it's Ruby Rose, which is fairy tale. It's Weiss Schnee, which is Snow White. Blake Belladonna, which is I think Beauty from Beauty and the Beast. And Yang Zhelong, which is Goldilocks, which Yang Zhelong, I think, is a character that Goldilocks would have originally been based off of, or a Japanese iteration, something like that. I'm not entirely sure.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's other teams that are based off of, like Team Juniper, which is John, Ren, Nora, and Pyra are all based off of historical figures that were either a man or a woman, but they pretended to be the opposite sex for battle purposes.
Oh, like Mulan?
Yeah, like Fei Mulan would be an example, which I think Ren is
cool
based off of. And then there are some teams that are just named off of like types of birds, some teams that are named off of straight up colors, things like that. So there's a lot of it's like kind of like an homage to the history of artwork inside of this universe, where essentially it's something sort of like a My Hero Academia type thing, where it's training the next generation of heroes.
Oh, cool.
All the characters, most of the characters in RWBY are in training, and then they fight these overarching evils throughout the series' history. And then I was making the content up until I think the 8th season of the show, and then they started putting all their content on like Crunchyroll, and they put all their new content on Crunchyroll. I was like, I don't have a Crunchyroll subscription. I'm not going to get a Crunchyroll subscription, so this is kind of where I'm just going to end where I'm doing this.
Okay, I like this one. Fire actually looks cool. Is that her there? That's her, yeah. These two.
Yeah, Pyra,
yeah. Okay.
So yeah, this is just a protection aspect, so it's not actually her.
Yeah, but this is her, right?
It's just
yeah. She's she looks kind of Greek inspired.
Yeah. I forget the character's name. Somebody out there probably knows the RWBY etymology better than I do. But yeah, these cards are extremely old at this point, because these were the first character I made, period, for this game was Yang. And I made them, and then I started moving on to other content. I think the next thing I did was Ghostblade. And then in early 2023, I think it was, the hard drive that I had all my files on just broke.
Oh no!
Just stopped working.
No.
So all my PSDs that I used to edit cards and everything like that were gone.
Yeah.
I still had all the cards themselves because they were both on tabletop, and then I had them on Google Drive, but I didn't have my PSDs backed up.
That's a shame.
So everything that is in RWBY, I'm considering it legacy, because I don't know if I'll ever have the time or the the patience really to get back into fixing them.
Yeah.
To make sure they're kind of up to today's standards, but I still keep them around.
Well, it's there if you want to check it out. It's a huge amount of content, and yeah, I'm intrigued. It's unbelievable amount of work, unbelievable. So yeah, check it out if you're a RWBY fan. I've just learned something, which is good. Let's move on to the other stuff. Most people would be more inclined to lean towards this sort of stuff. Oh wait, no, I forgot to ask. So was all that RWBY work enough to get your friend involved? Did they get into it?
No, he didn't.
Oh well.
I think his other issue is he just doesn't like using Tabletop Simulator, which is fine.
Oh, that's fair.
It is. I'm used to it. I've played a lot of games on it, but I just don't think he enjoyed using Tabletop Simulator.
Yeah.
So I made 1,200 cards for him to not play the game. So as long as other people are enjoying it, I mean, at least I did it for a reason.
There's a content creator out there that's been telling me for 2 years now that they want to play a game with me. And I'm like, yeah, okay, well, I'm here, and which would be good. Obviously, it'd be a boost for my channel, but also because he's a cool dude. 2 years later, we still haven't done it, and it's basically because he just hates Tabletop Simulator, and I'm not printing out a whole bunch of custom stuff to play live.
So, he wanted to do them in person.
Yeah, he wanted to do it in person. I'm like, well, you pay to print it out, and I'll do it, but it's too.
Yeah, I was like, I was looking at because I was thinking like, man, I could probably get into printing out physical cards of these, and I was looking at the cost of like getting an actual card printer. It's like that's way too expensive.
And it's not like there's content out there that's not worthy of printing. 100%. I mean, I would have a Karnak deck today if I could, but I'm not rich. The cost of printing is insane. To get good stuff, like the good quality stuff. Even if I wanted to do it like at home, it would cost a fortune because ink costs an insane amount of money. So yeah, no, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, the printers never seem to be the most expensive part. It's just the ink.
Oh yeah, the printers like $20 each, but the ink is that's unbelievable.
The ink is almost as much as the printer for one single cartridge. It's
back in the good old days, I would have just printed them at work. The good old days of using the printer at work at the office, but we don't have an office anymore thanks to COVID. COVID's ruined everything.
I can't print my cards.
I can't print my cards. I mean, never mind the loss of civil liberties, but I can't print my cards, and that's all that matters. All right, let's move on to more exciting things. Release section. I love how you guys set it out. I really like how you set it. This is one of the most organized tables I've seen. Probably beaten only by design.
Yeah, like I said, my old table is getting messy.
Oh no, this is good.
My old table is getting really good.
Messy. So we got released, stable, tested, and revised, effectively finalized, unlikely to change, but not yet sealed. I really like that. Then we got beta, stabilized design, looking for more feedback, and expecting to make updates. Generally, has all components, at least. And
yeah, these are the if you go to the MCC server. These are the exact wording that they put in there for when you publish out your heroes on the server.
Oh, I thought it sounded familiar. I didn't want to say anything. I didn't want to accuse you of plagiarism or anything. This
would be a good idea. This would be a good way to let people know kind of like the state of everything.
That's good. Yeah, that's really cool. Aspect packs. These are aspects themed around content I made. They are in constant states of finished and work in progress. What is this? Rogue gallery leadership. I like that. All right. And then alpha, of course. Initial design may not be complete or have a nemesis looking for all feedback. So, yeah, we'll definitely get to there because that's where Shana is. So, but it's not over at released. Look at this just amazing amount of content. Songbird, Moonstone, Colleen, Satana, Arrow, Venus. You like your ladies. They're all ladies.
I do like looking at pretty things. Yeah. I'm not afraid to admit that. But yeah, so when I was trying to find what I was going to do in this, I wanted to focus on characters that I hadn't seen a lot of content for, or none, if anything. And I would just kind of go through and scour wikis and other things like that and just see what I could pull up. And some characters I found more fun to make than others, I guess.
I love that you made a Venus. I just absolutely love it. I mean, look at this.
Even though this isn't actually the funny thing. That's not actually Venus right there. That's Aphrodite's Venus.
Right.
From the God, I think that's like 60s or 70s right there.
Yeah, I love that so much.
But I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do it anyways.
Just do it.
It's fun.
Yeah, it's fun. I love it. almost every spotlight we talk about, you know, the artwork and people's different opinions on artwork and all that sort of stuff. Like I you're not meant to have speech bubbles, for example, right? Which is fair enough, but you're also not meant to have like the sound effects and like I disagree completely. So comics are meant to have sound effects.
I agree with speech bubbles as long
Yeah.
as it's not part of like something that has to do with that character. Like Deadpool, I think like Deadpool would be an excellent character to have speech bubbles with because he
Yeah.
breaks the fourth wall.
Right. Yeah, and Gwenpool.
Even with Colleen, like I changed her alter ego recently, her picture for it, and I have a speech bubble on that because she's in control of the Mind Stone, so she is talking meta to the person who's reading the book.
Cool.
Reading the comics. So I was like, you know what, I'll keep the speech bubbles in there. And then I did like a team up with for Hellcat and She-Hulk where I thought it'd be pretty funny to put the text bubbles on there from Hellcat texting.
Well, there you go.
She-Hulk.
So if it makes sense, it makes sense, right? I like my Dazzler Hero's got all of her cards or all of her events are songs that she sings. And sometimes I left the speech bubble on there if it's her singing the actual song, the lyrics to the song, which I thought would be cute.
Yeah,
but then of course
that's that right there makes sense to me. Sound effects, I don't care. If it's sound effects on the card, I'm not going to try and Photoshop sound effects off cards. Speech bubbles, yeah, maybe. Or probably on speech bubbles, but sound effects, nah. I leave sound effects.
If there's no context for the speech bubble, it should really go. If there's a speech bubble saying hi and there's no one else there in the screen in the image showing who they're saying hi to, that it needs to be gotten rid of. It doesn't make any sense. But another aspect of the art style is trying to keep it consistent, right? Trying to keep it consistent across the different like whatever version of that hero you're trying to do. So the fact that I when I first saw Venus in action and I saw that you had art from the 60s, 70s, 80s, I fell in love instantly. I was like, this is amazing. I love it because this character's been around for that long and didn't use those pictures.
So a lot of times with covers, because covers tend to be the hardest thing for me to try and make because when it comes to the cards and the hero cards and everything that's in there, I try and stick to like a time frame or a series or something like that. Like it's pretty simple how I do that. When it comes to covers, though, it's like I want to try and find something where I've got like their title, so I have their name displayed somewhere on there. And some characters like Venus and Songbird, they don't have comics for themselves.
Yeah,
it's not, at least not anymore. And you can't find like good official looking fonts to use for them for like a cover pack or anything like that.
Yep.
So when it came to Venus, I was just like, the only thing I really have for her is back when she was, the old school runs of hers where it was just like a romantic, goofy little comic book run. So I was like, that's just what I'm going to choose for because that's the only thing that I can simply find that fits her. That is like the only old school Venus picture you'll see in Venus.
How hard was
everything else is from?
Sorry, how hard was it?
Everything else is like Agents of Atlas, pretty much.
Yeah, Agents of Atlas. That makes the most sense, right? Because that's where she is the most, right? But how hard was it to find pictures that were not just cheesecake?
Like I use,
awesome
ring figure.
Yeah, and that's totally fair. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. It's, no, it's absolutely This is great. I love this. This set just looks so beautiful, and I actually got to see it in action when we played, which I thought was great. So,
Venus is one of my favorite heroes.
How much stock do you put into the images? Like how much effort do you go to trying to get just the right image?
It kind of depends. Like, if I am extremely familiar with a character and their runs in the comics, then I generally have an idea of what I'm looking for before I'm looking at the cards. Every card, every hero, villain, scenario, whatever I'm doing, I always have a Wikipedia up for that character so I can at least get information that I might not know. Like they might have had like a 2-issue run where they're hanging out with Wolverine or something like that and you see new things. So I tend to always have the Wikipedia up, and sometimes Wikipedia will give me other answers I can use for abilities. Like the going back to Venus, her ability actually being called acoustic kinetics. I had no idea that that was what her power would have been called.
Mm.
But that's verified through the Wikipedia. Which I mean, you can always take Wikipedia's with a grain of salt because it is publicly edited, but there's also been a lot of good information that you can glean out of it.
Yeah.
So a lot of times when it comes to the images that I choose, I just if I see an ability on the Wikipedia that I'm not familiar with, I'll try and find the cross reference for it to see if I can get a picture of it that looks good. If I can't, then I probably just don't use it.
Yep. Do you also use the fandom page?
I'm mostly on, what is it called? MarvelFandom.com.
Yeah.
That's the Wikipedia that I'm usually on.
Oh, right.
And then Comic Vine is another big source that I use.
Yeah, great. Yeah,
Comic Vine's excellent for the one-off pictures that you might need.
Yep.
And then otherwise, I'm usually on like a Read Comics or something like that, reading through the entire comics to see what I can get.
Yeah, no, the fandom page I find is excellent for that sort of stuff. Some good pitch and stuff. But yeah, Comic Vine's got a huge amount of stuff for images. Absolutely, and things. Yeah. It's really cool. All right, well, let's sticking with the art theme. Let's just swing across to Shana the She-Devil. So it's not often that I get corrected on my comic knowledge, but it happened last night because you mentioned that you were doing Shana, and I was like, wow, this is some opportunity for some Frank Cho, because she appears in a series called Savage Wolverine, and it's just, Frank Cho's my favorite comic artist, and he's just amazing. And you and I both like the female figure, and so he does a really excellent version of that. But you were like, no, I can't use that. I want to use that because it's technically not canon. And I learned something. I did some research after you told me that. I was like, really? Yeah, you're right. It definitely isn't. So I really like that you sort of stuck to your guns there. You're like, yep, I want to use it, but I shouldn't because it's not legit. You could really flesh out that ally-enemy thing, because it's a common comic trope, isn't it? Right, the misunderstood fight. They have the big fight, and they're like, "Oh, actually, it turns out we're on the same side," and shake hands, and off they go. So it happens all the time. So having some sort of mechanic like that in the comic, in the game, would be pretty cool. I'd be interested to see that for sure. That'd be cool.
Yeah, I think I've kind of got that well enough done with Iska the Unbeaten, where she can be either an ally or an enemy depending on the state of flow. I'd obviously have to do like some uniqueness to what I would do with the other ones. And I think there's a possibility of doing something like that.
That's cool. I really like it. All right, well, let's dive deep into like your creation process. All right, so pick one of your heroes, and what I would really like to talk about is from go to woe. How do you start a project? How do you then go find your art, which we sort of already covered, I guess, comic book and stuff, and then the mechanic. Do you do the mechanic first and then go into the art, or is it the other way around? And how do you choose the particular character and all that sort of stuff? Like really a deep dive. So let's. Who would you like to use as the example?
So, a lot of times, what comes first between the art and what I want them to do, it kind of flip flops depending on my knowledge of the character already.
Mm-hmm.
If it's a character that I've already kind of like read up on, like maybe they had like a series where they ran into another character for an extended period of time, so I'm used to their character. Then usually the art will come first because I've seen that. I've kind of gotten used to it. I kind of know where the abilities are from there. And then after that, I would hop on to like the fandom page and see more things that I could expand on that. But if you take let's take someone like Hellcat, for example, one of the newer ones.
Let's grab Hellcat.
Usually the first thing I do with a character is I determine what version of the character I want to use.
Mm-hmm.
So with Patsy Walker Hellcat, I was not going to choose her romantic age Hellcat.
Why not? How rude!
Trying to make a deck based off of that would have been.
Imagine a hero
really
set
weird.
that was based off the romance comics. That would be amazing. Like trying to get dates and getting jealous because your friend's talking to your man.
You know what? Now that I think about it, when I go and delete this, I'll make an Patsy Walker. No.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
So usually the first thing I do is when I've found a character I want to do, I generally choose what era of the character I want it to be, right?
Mm.
And then I work from there. So that usually determines what style of art I'm looking for, what their abilities are. So like with Patsy Walker, I was like, well, I can go. I'm not, like I said before, I'm not going to go with the romantic age one.
Mm.
I try and keep the characters I'm working with more modern, anyways. Just because you can find better artwork. I'm not a big fan of using like black and white artwork or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of determine the era that I'm doing, and then that again chooses the artwork. It also kind of helps out choose the skill sets that they would have.
Yeah.
Again, the fandom page is good at helping find what kind of skills your character has. It'll tell you like former things. You can find who they're related to and all that stuff to help determine who your ally is going to be.
Mm.
For Hellcat, I was like, all right, so I want the psionic post having been to Hellcat.
Gotcha.
So
you picked a specific
that
era.
The era, that's the era that I chose, which is why if you look at her Nemesis deck, her Nemesis is, funnily enough, Damon Hellstrom and Blackheart.
Mm-hmm.
She has 2 Nemesis characters. I know that was fun to explain to people.
It confused me, I gotta tell you. It confused me when I play tested there. I was like, what am I doing here? So yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. Because you did, I think you were doing a video with that.
Yeah.
Like, who's supposed to what?
Yeah. I was like, which Nemesis am I meant to be using?
So there's a card that's sticking there. It's sticking through the table in mine. That inspired me to put the insert in with it.
Yeah.
But
cool.
From there I choose kind of like a set of comics that I want to base it off of. So for Hellcat, it was her 2 Hellcat series. It was her Civil War, like 4 or 5 issue series that she had. It was her solo that she had with Iron Man. It was her issues that she had in Iron Man series itself. I think it was Superior Iron Man was the series, I think.
Yep, Superior. Yeah.
So that's kind of where her Iron Man being her ally came from.
Cool.
And then from there, that's kind of just where I chose everything else. I even had some from the Patsy Walker Hellcat, which I was not a fan of that comic series, but
it's terrible.
I still decided, yeah, it's. I didn't like the art style. I'm not the biggest fan of comics that are solely supposed to try and be comedic.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of hard to take a character serious when you're all like Hellcats can do some awesome stuff.
Yeah.
But then you look at the comic series and then it's kind of like putting her down pegs that I didn't think she needed.
Yeah.
But I did choose a little bit from that. And then like I included She-Hulk because somebody who had play tested the deck was like, why didn't you do She-Hulk? And it's like I could do She-Hulk.
It's a fascinating design of her card. Like what's the deal? Like what's with all the like the text messages and all that sort of stuff. I love it. I absolutely love it.
So it's from I forget which She-Hulk run it was, but she's trying to go out on a date with somebody, and the person that she's dating winds up being a robot that's trying to kill her. So while she's fighting all this army of robots on this date night, it's just the entire time she's doing it, Hellcat is texting her like, how's your date going and all that stuff? How bad is it? Did you rip his arm off? Yeah. So I was just like, you know what? It makes sense because She-Hulk herself is a 4th wall breaker, like Deadpool. I thought it would be fun to include that aspect on that card, just to be a little goofy.
I love how you incorporate it. It's so cool. Very cool. It wouldn't get sealed, but it's cool. Love it.
Well, I mean, in my defense, the She-Hulk is not her actual canon character.
You don't need any defense. I'm on your side 100%, bro. It's fine. It's an awesome card.
But a lot, like I think the whole seal thing. Just on a side note, I think the seal thing is an excellent concept. I think that it's something that is a really. I think it's a good thing to have in the community, to have like the system that says, "Hey, your card, your deck is quality enough to where I think where it would be where we could see, you know, Fantasy Flight's making an actual character, that type of thing. I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
But sometimes what's like some of the stuff I see is like, maybe you're being a little bit too narrow with what you think is good for a card.
I prefer to think of the seal process more along the lines of the second part of it, which is this is a character, a kit that we would show to somebody getting into the game to show them just how good the game is and how good the custom community is. Not necessarily the FFG angle, because FFG makes some terrible stuff. The argument for FFG just irritates the crap out of me. There are some cards, for like official cards, that have got art that I would not even use for my bird cage. It's like, it's awful stuff. But the whole aspect of this is good enough to showcase just how skillful we are and how good we are in making our ideas and all that sort of stuff, and then get new people into the game. I love that. That aspect of it is great. Awesome.
Yeah, that's kind of like another thing that I kind of like skipped over, and it is a lot of the spotlight stuff, the sealed cards and all that stuff. Yeah, it's supposed to be stuff that, you know, anybody can pick up and play. And I think I've done, like, for the most part, I think most of my cards have done pretty well with that. A lot of the characters, other people's decks that I played with, have done that. Even if they don't fall into the, you know, the exact parameters that we have for the spotlights and the sealed stuff.
Yeah. So one aspect of Hellcat that we didn't touch on is your outer demons mechanics. So let's sort of talk about the mechanics a bit. So you're focused on the psionic, you said, and so there's a lot of sort of focus on the mental resources and things like that, which all makes perfect sense. I mean, her suit is.
And now that we're talking about it, I realize that I have two different costs on my outer demons that I need to fix now.
Oh,
I didn't even notice that.
I didn't even notice that until just now either. But I wanted to show off the full art version because it just looks sick. I just love it. So which one is it meant to be? Is it 3 or 2?
Hold on. Actually, let me look real quick.
Actually, I'll just cover that one.
Okay.
It's fine. But it's so the howl aspect of it, you got infernal as a trait on some of the on her suit and stuff, because it's like
it's supposed to be 2 cost.
Okay, 2 cost. Okay, cool, good, yeah. So really, really cool with that sort of focusing on the mental aspect type thing, which I think is cool. But then you got this mechanic, the outer demons. Let's showcase this. I'm gonna make it go full screen. Boom! Look at that. That looks awesome. Love it. Can you explain this mechanic? Like, what's the purpose of this?
So in her, I forget exactly. I think it might have just been called Hellcat. And her Hellcat run, essentially Damon Hellstrom is trying to coerce her, as he does constantly, to be his bride in hell.
And because they were actually married at one point, right? And then they get divorced, like in.
Yeah, and they have like, they kind of have like a really fraught, not great history. Like probably when it was written it was fine, but today it's not great. No. So he essentially just like, I can't remember if he like tricks her. I think that's what it was. Is he tricked her into taking on this demonic form? And I was kind of looking for like other cards that I could fill it out with, and I was like, what if I had something that just completely changed how she played a little bit? Because a lot of my cards, a lot of my decks, I try and stay as stringent as I possibly can to the inherent design of the deck. Maybe like some small outliers, but usually I just try and stay to it. And I was like, what if I did something for her that just completely changed how she played for a little bit? I'd wanted to toy with the whole giving a hero or an ally the villainous trait for a little bit.
Yes.
So it's like, what if I turned her into a bad guy? Unlike in the comics where she just kind of became like animalistic, in this she would still have access to like her cards and her abilities and her mental training and all of her mental stuff. But what if I gave her this thing and it'd just be kind of like a fun little, hopefully fun little thing to do on the side. And that's kind of where that came from, is just like embracing a little bit of chaos for a little bit.
Cool. Awesome. I did a similar thing with the hero, the villains thing in my Hydra campaign. I said that any because you can some of the minions you could sort of hire to work for you instead, like Taskmaster, for example, right? If you pay him enough money, he'll swap sides. And he has villainous, and I said, so he actually, when he changes to ally form, it becomes I can't remember what I called it now, heroics, but it basically operated essentially the same, right? So he still has villains, still has villains.
So funny story. There's a funny story with that. When I was making my traitorous keyword for Thunderbolts, that was something along the lines of what I was thinking originally, but I felt that having a mechanic where your allies could turn on you, while it would be, true to the characters, it might be a little bit difficult to implement into the card game. So I was like, let me back off on that. So I made traitorous this keyword where it would where you could add threats to the main scheme to pay for the card itself.
Cool.
As a resource.
I love this sort of stuff. This is a favorite part of my spotlights, is when we talk about like mechanics. Like, where do these ideas come from? How do you actually implement them? How do you make them work into the game? Because sometimes you can have what sounds like an awesome idea, and then when you try to implement it, it's like, well, this just doesn't work. This breaks the game.
I'm actually really happy with how Trader has turned out.
Cool.
It's essentially one of those things where it's like, yeah, you can get this ally for cheaper, but I mean, you're going to add threats to the main scheme for putting them in play.
Yeah. That's cool.
So I had quite a bit of fun with that. I think I've made 3 or 4 keywords to various success, because I also have invert. I have invert in Graviton's deck, where where it swaps your discard pile and your player deck, and it makes it so that you're drawing from your discard pile with knowing what you're about to get. That type of stuff. It's a really interesting mechanic. And then I made Soulbound, which I actually saw somebody did something similar, where you essentially have allies that can be used as attachments to similar allies.
Cool. Awesome.
So sometimes I have fun making keywords about that, but also acknowledge that not everybody's going to be on board keyword.
Keywords are fun. I like how there was a conversation in the community the other week about the multiverse keyword. Like, there was a new member of the community, and they were confused. They're like, hey, I just want to reach out. I'm very confused about this variant / multiverse / something else. There was a third one as well. It's like, what do they really mean? It's like this. And it sort of highlighted a sort of thing that's like, you can come up with these keywords, sure, but then if they're not sort of embraced by the community as a whole, then we end up with like multiple versions that are essentially the same thing. But I think that's cool. Like, that's the cool thing of it. This community got so many, it's like smart, talented, creative people like yourself that, we come up with all these, new things, and there's so many different ways to do things that sort of like really expand the game and stuff. I really love that sort of stuff.
The way how I look at it is, as long as I include like an insert that tells you what the keyword means, that's kind of where I'm like, all right, here it is. Here's your resource.
Well,
If you don't get it, then I'm sorry. But I've included the traitorous keyword in non-Thunderbolts, because I started that keyword in Thunderbolts because it made the most sense for some of it. I've included traitorous a bit here and there, but I've mostly contained it to Thunderbolts. And I've always tried to include, if I put it somewhere, I've always tried to make sure that, like, my traitorous insert is somewhere where, if you were just looking at that, where you'd have access to it.
Makes perfect sense. I love the picture for cat-like reflexes. It's awesome.
It's also from that's from her Civil War days.
Love it.
Civil War was like, her Civil War arc was not great, but it had some great artwork for it.
Yeah. That's the thing. You got to grab it where you can. I also love
sometimes that's all it is.
Her Patsy Walker AE picture is absolutely magnificent. I also love her
again from Civil War.
Her quarter headshot thing. I have a long running argument with people about headshots. It's just It just makes me laugh every time I see a really cool one. I love the just
Yeah,
this.
it looks like Batman with red hair sticking
Yeah,
out.
I
You
love it.
know,
Just just this the really patronizing look she's giving you. It's like, why are you
it's
bothering me?
usually yeah, like that's another thing. Like the pack card. It's like I'm trying to find something where the character's looking as close to dead on as possible. What do I have,
Yeah.
and that I'm not going to use on a card, and that's kind of just what I do with it.
I'm a big fan of dynamic headshots. I don't know why. I get told off for it all the time. It's bizarre, but I love it. I don't. Why does it have to be head on? Why? It doesn't. I want to change it up every now and again. But this one is a cool example of it. I love it. I love it. It's not quite dead on, but it's just full of attitude. Just love it. Great. Cool. Awesome. All right.
Yeah.
Well, are there any creators or creations that inspired you with your creative journey?
So like in terms of other creators, like I've enjoyed like Design Hacker and Rainy and Blue HG. Um, I keep forgetting. I've remembered it and I've forgotten it. Whoever it was that put the templates for the community used to make the cards
Hitch.
is yeah, that's okay. Yeah, Hitch.
Yeah.
So and it's stable for that starter. So Hitch has done so much to make sure that the community has like a consistent resource and a well working table. Even if some of the cards are a little blurry, but whatever. Like just these resources that have really helped the community get along. So Hitch is definitely somewhere up there in terms of like actual decks. The deck that got me into making decks myself was Jury Cras, or is it Jury or Yuri Krasko?
I think it's Yuri, but it's Odysseus.
Yeah, so he made Angela back in the day, and I liked Angela back when she was a Spawn creation. And then I enjoy her as well as in Marvel. And she was one of the first. Actually, she was the first community creation that I had tried to use. And then after I played it, I was like, this is a deck that I honestly that I can see myself making cards as well. And then
awesome.
I've played Blue HG's Mantis. I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
There was a Black Bolt deck that I saw a long time ago that gave me the basis for my Songbird deck.
Awesome.
And then I've enjoyed your content as well. Not to shine the light on the person giving the interview. Like
Folks, I didn't ask him to say that. He did that all on his own accord. Checks them out.
Like your, I know I didn't get to play it, but I saw the general design of Dazzler, and I enjoyed that.
I've hopefully solved that problem with the cards.
Along with oh man, I'm honestly really bad with names, but during the spotlight that we're having or just finished having, whatever state it's in right now, I played the who was it? Agatha Harkness deck.
Oh, she's great.
And I had a lot of fun with that.
Yeah.
That actually helped inspire me to make Amaranth, because Amaranth was, well, supposedly Agatha Harkness's pupil before she became Scarlet Witch's pupil. In reality, that didn't even happen in the comics. She just showed up at Scarlet Witch's with Amaranth and was like, here you go, you're a problem now. But yeah, those are like the main ones that I can think of.
Cool.
That have kind of gotten me into this.
Nice. Awesome.
And I honestly tried looking for, when I was originally looking at like the Black Bolt deck that I was talking about, I can't even find it anymore. I don't know where it is. I don't know who created it, but he had like a mechanic on there where it was something to do with like the speech text that cards would have on it would do things to it, and I just can't find it. I don't know what happened to it. But that was like the basis for Songbird.
Speech would do things. There's 2 Black Bolts that I know of. One by Luke, and one by Design Hacker. I think you mean the Design Hacker one, the flavor text one, when you play for an event that has no flavor text.
Yeah, that might have been. I think that was it.
Yeah, I think that's Hacker's one.
So I was like, well, Songbird, you know, she is entirely vocal based. That's an excellent thing for that.
Yeah, I pulled her out while you were doing it. I love that. Yeah, shuffle an event with power texture and disco pile into your deck. Love it. That's really, really cool. I love the negative look at the Soundbeam card.
Yeah, I do also, just because
stuff.
I know some people people might not like that, but I have the non beamed version as well.
Oh, look at you!
Because that's what the text looks like when she sound beams people in the comics. Is pink on black.
Well, that's why I liked it. That's why I thought it was cool. And I'm always happy to see Diodato artwork. Always good to see that, especially if you're a fan of the.
Oh my god, form. Yeah, the Thunderbolts run with Norman Osborn as the leader.
Yeah, Dark Angels. Yeah.
The artwork in that was amazing.
Not Dark Angels, sorry, Fallen Angels. Fallen Angels. Yeah, no, it's unbelievable. The fight that they have with they have like an impromptu fight. They go to arrest Steel Spider, but they end up having a fight with Iron Eagle and
American Eagle.
American Eagle,
Steel Spider,
and Jack Flag.
And what's her name?
And,
Jack Flag was earlier.
Oh right, Jack Flag. Okay.
Because Jack Flag was the first person they apprehended, and then Venom bit his arm off.
That's right.
No. Venom bit Steel Spider's
arm off. Yeah.
Bullseye hit Jack Flag in the spine with one of his sides.
Yeah.
And the other, I forget who the last
the girl's name. It's some really weird.
I have her made. She's in one of my sets somewhere.
Oh really? She's got like a French name or something. Anyway, so yeah, love it. The artwork in that is just amazing. Absolutely amazing stuff. Love it. Love to see it. Cool, awesome. Well, that's pretty much it from me. Is there anything that we didn't touch on that you would like to talk about?
Honestly, no. I'm not sure there is. Obviously, if you're just getting into, or thinking about getting into making your own custom content, or want to, experience the Marvel Champions game on a further scale, please come over and join the Discord that we have. I don't know, you're probably want to plug it a little bit too, but you'll find all kinds of creators who can help you make your own custom content and guide you through the process, give you feedback on it and all that stuff. And now I'm so extremely sidetracked with trying to figure out what her name was. I think she's in here. There's enough of connection latency where I can't pull my own cards.
That's right. I'll pull it out for you.
I think she's in this set.
I'm going through them for you. Quick. Direct Osborne. No. Scenario. No. Maybe
There's
she's
Jack Flag.
American Eagle.
Yeah, so these are
Spider. There she goes.
Sepulchra. There she is.
Sepulchra. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, she's cool. I like how she's like, no, I'm going to take that job in Dubai and I'm out of here. Bye.
And then she becomes a babysitter in a later comic book.
Yeah, doesn't she she babysits Jessica Jones' kid at some point or something like.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, it's really weird.
But look at that art. How can you not love this artwork? It's just amazing.
It's like the only thing, the artwork is great, and then he'll do a close up on a face, and then it's maybe not do the close up.
It's because he paints his stuff as well. It looks a bit. It ends up looking a bit weird. One thing we didn't touch on was your aspects. I've actually used your Mystic Arcana aspect stuff.
Outside of it's the second most cards in the Mystic Arcana outside of Thunderbolts.
Yeah.
Because Thunderbolts, there's part of me that wants to go through Thunderbolts and weed some of the characters out of it. Because there's a lot of cards in the Thunderbolts aspect right now, and I don't think all of them necessarily need to be made anymore. Because I think every single character with the exception of the Dark Avengers, and Wilson Fisk's Thunderbolts from the King in Black, whatever his reign was. I forget what his reign was called. I think I made an ally for every single character that was ever a Thunderbolt. I said single twice in the same sentence.
That's fine. You're allowed to. You're a special guest. It's all good. Cool. All right. Well, that's it. Thank you very much for being a part of this series. I really appreciate it, especially with the sudden not doing it when we were meant to do it. I understand it. I apologize. But it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. I really love your creative process, and your output is quality. It's really it's quality across the board, which is pretty impressive with the amount of stuff that you've got. So I really appreciate you being on, and for any of you,
thanks for having me.
And like Jakxin said himself, is if you have any interest in checking out sort of the custom content that the community has to offer, please do so. There'll be a link to the community Discord. Check out Jakxin's amazing range of stuff. We didn't even have time to cover everything, but there's a whole bunch of stuff on here that is sure to interest you, especially the Thunderbolts and all that sort of stuff. Check out his Hellcat, love it. They're very, very cool. And if you want to start creating your own stuff, there's plenty of people there that are going to help you out. We've got the templates, we've got the tutorial videos and how to make stuff, and then how to get it onto TTS, like this awesome table here. This looks great. Bang, it's all there for you. Jakxin, again, thank you so much for being part of it. Thank you for being part of the community. I'm sure we'll interact and have a game. We've got so many team-up games that we're meant to be playing. We'll have a game.
Yeah, Satana and Damon and Venus and Dazzler.
Yeah, and we've got to do that song, the Songbirds, the not the Songbird, but the ladies, the Lady Sinners team up. We should do that, like the 4-player song play. Do it. I want to see it. Anyway, thanks again. Thanks to you for listening. As always, if can you please like and subscribe, leave a comment, say hi to Jakxin. I'm sure he'd love it. Say hi to me as well. I get lonely sometimes. Throw me a hello. I would appreciate it. But either way, no matter what you do, the very first thing you should do is make sure that you tell the people that you love them as often as you can. Thank you very much. Take care. Bye now.